Good evening, everyone. Honored to be speaking on behalf of these wonderful people that we have on this call. Welcome to the Historical Black College University Informational Evening. We have an amazing group of panelists. Just first and foremost, want to thank Bellevue High School, Mercer Island High School, and everybody that is involved. Pretty much just going to read through a brief instruction. So the HBCU panel Q&A. Guests are requested to turn off their video and mute microphones for this portion. We recommend that you set your speaker view to be able to focus on the speaker. Captions are enabled. You can select at the bottom of your screen. And for open breakout rooms, which we would also lead into, guests are encouraged to visit the colleges in their breakout rooms. We encourage you to have your video on and interact using microphones when you can. Move into a different breakout room to talk with different schools. So I guess I'll start off by introducing our panel. On behalf of Delaware State, we have Jonte Hankins, honored to have. And also we have Bianca, who is from Howard. We have Mr. Alvin, who is from Morehouse, and as well Brendan Cole from Hampton, and as well Mr. Shamari Moore kind of being the admin of the whole thing. So again, once again, my name is Lorenzo McKinney. On behalf of Bellevue High School and the Black Student Union, what an honor it is to be here. And so and also, excuse me for not introducing Miss Valerie as well from Mercer Island. And so I'm ready to get it going.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think it's on me now. We're going to go ahead and get started with the panel questions. And my questions will be addressed to Alvin and Bianca. And if you could tell me about your school, what are your popular and strongest majors at your schools?
At Morehouse, I would definitely say the majors that we're most known for are business administration. Morehouse sends the most African-American men to Harvard Business School every year. We also have a very strong film program, which is a cinema, television, and emerging media studies. And then finally, our 3-2 dual degree engineering program, where students start at Morehouse and complete a 3-year curriculum in either physics, general science, mathematics, or chemistry. Once they complete those 3 years, they would transfer to one of our engineering partner schools. And we have 8 engineering partner schools, but probably the most popular partner schools that our students go to complete the engineering curriculum are Georgia Tech, which is also located in Atlanta, about 15 minutes away from Morehouse, University of Michigan, and also North Carolina A&T, which also is a fellow HBCU. So those are probably the 3 programs we're most known for at Morehouse.
Awesome, awesome. And Miss Bianca?
Of course. Hey, everyone. So I'd say the 3 top majors of from Howard University are, the first thing is we do produce the most amount of minority medical students, so that would be number 1. The second would also be our School of Communications, which I'm a proud graduate of, producing the top amount of Black journalists throughout the country. And then the third thing would be our law school, high producing of Black attorneys throughout the U.S.
Wow, thank you. Shamari, you want to go on with the next question?
Yeah, Valerie, I feel like I am a part of Black college royalty. Morehouse,
Absolutely.
Howard, Hampton, and Delaware State. I am a proud product of Tuskegee University, which is down in Alabama. Do you all even know where Alabama is on the map? It is way down there somewhere in the middle of some places. It's a good time. Thank you all for being here. I have the honor to sit with some people who look like me, because I don't get to do that a lot over here on the West Coast. Some of y'all from all over the place are privileged to be in spaces that are filled with people who look like you. Some of us over here are not often in those spaces. So I'm going to ask you question number 2. What do you feel are your school's most unique qualities? And I want to answer this question, Jonte, and then Brendan. And when you answer that question, please announce the school that you attend and maybe just, a little bit about your school as you are answering the question. Dante, and then Brendan.
Okay, you said to talk about the school. What was the
Well,
last part?
what is your school? And then as you're talking about your school, answer that question. What do you feel are your school's most unique qualities?
Okay, so I'm Miss Hankins or Jonte. I'm from Delaware State University. I would say for us, our institution, we are one of the most diverse contemporary HBCUs. So we have over 200 international students. We have partnerships with Ningbo, China. We have a partnership with Jamaica, the Caribbean. So not only are we an HBCU, but we are diverse. So you will see all different types of students on our campus studying masters, PhDs, bachelor programs. And because of all the partnerships that we do have a big international office that helps students be able to study abroad. So you'll be able to study abroad in different countries. So that is something that I find very unique at our institution that we have, because we have all those partnerships at our institution.
I did not know that about Delaware State. Are you
Yeah.
the most northern Black college in our United States?
No, there's Cheney and Lincoln, which is in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Right.
So we would be like the top 3.
For those of you all who do not know, the majority of our Black colleges are in the southeast of the United States. Brendan, how would you answer that question?
Yes, my name is Brendan Cole. I'm from the illustrious Hampton University. You always have to add the illustrious if there's a Howard grad on. But I would really say, in my experience, the thing that makes Hampton unique, but not just Hampton, it's mostly all HBCUs, is it's one of the very, very few chances you will have the opportunity to be in the majority as a person of color in a professional setting. So I mean, of course, race still matters and those things matters, but it's a different mindset when all your teachers look like you, or everybody's basically a person of color almost. The expectations kind of rise too in a way. You get held to a pretty high standard on these campuses. I'm speaking for all of us across the board. And then the tight knit community we have here on campus is amazing. Everyone looks out for each other, cares for each other, and wants the best for each other. So I would say that's the best thing about my HBCU experience and what makes us unique. And we also sit on the water. We have a beautiful sailing site. Hampton University comes with a lot of its own pros, but all HBCUs are great, and that's what makes us all special.
Can you tell us where Hampton's located, sir?
So Hampton University is located in Virginia. A lot of people get scared off when they hear Virginia, but it's in a nice part of Virginia, right on the water. It's about 3,500 students. Beautiful campus.
Yeah, I did a panel of students just last week, and one of those students was a senior last year. She went to Howard. She went off to Howard. She's a freshman this year. From one of our high schools in Bellevue School. She said it is the best decision she has ever made in her life, to be around people who look like her, to have this deep experience of feeling like she's home. I'm like, she's coming from home, going to a place where she feels like she's home. Like, that's really amazing. So back to you, Valerie.
Thank you. To Alvin and Miss Bianca, in your opinion, what can a student get from an HBCU that they may not have at other institutions? And I think that may have kind of already been summed up, but if you can go ahead and answer that question, that would be great.
So first of all, my apologies for not officially introducing myself. My name is Alvin Conte. I'm Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment at Morehouse. This is my 5th year at Morehouse. I am not an alum, or we refer to as Morehouse men. I am actually a proud graduate of Hampton University. But in terms of what HBCUs offer, I think the first thing I always say is support. Most of our schools are smaller in terms of size, and compared to larger state institutions. Morehouse has about 2,300 students, so very small campus, very small classroom sizes. And I think that environment brings a more individual a style in terms of providing the support that you will need to be successful in the classroom and making sure that you're getting the most of your entire college experience. The second thing I would say, and a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but I think HBCUs offer diversity, but a different type of diversity. You know, one thing that I quickly realized when I got to Hampton was that the African American community is not monolithic. There are so many different types of backgrounds, whether it be where you're from, whether it be socioeconomic backgrounds. Just so many things that I didn't realize before I got to Hampton University. I'm from a small town in middle Georgia. I'm from Fort Valley, Georgia, which also has an HBCU, Fort Valley State University. But when I got to Hampton, I met classmates from New York, from DC, from the Caribbean, from California. I have a classmate from Seattle. And I just saw so many different images of Blackness that really provide me a fulfilling and rich experience while I was at Hampton. So HBCUs do offer diversity, but it's a different type of diversity.
Thanks for sharing. Apologizing again for not formally introducing myself, but my name is Bianca Sullivan. I'm a graduate of the Mecca, the illustrious Howard University. And I currently work at DraftKings, which is a sports gaming organization. Before DraftKings, I've worked in the sports entertainment industry for quite some time. So NBC Sports, Fox News, ESPN, Boston Celtics, and really that came from me seeing that representation and people that look like me at those sports entities at Howard. So growing up, I'm from Boston, Mass. I was always an athlete, so I played the sport of lacrosse. If you are familiar, lacrosse is a predominantly white sport. At Howard, the only other HBCU that we played against was Delaware State. So I really enjoyed that one other school that we had the chance to compete against. That was one of the main reasons why I did go to Howard. At the time, it was the only D1 HBCU that had a women's lacrosse program. And growing up and being the only Black girl with black legs on the court or on the field, it was frustrating. I wanted to be amongst, some of these other girls that I was playing against that were from Baltimore, that were from New York, or even on the West Coast. So to add to that, I would say that the unique experience of attending Howard is the diversity of the Black diaspora that's there. So similar to what Mr. Alvin was saying, my family's from Jamaica, and being in Boston, most of these schools, when they had diversity groups, it was always like the Black Student Union because there was just such a minute amount of students that identified as Black. Versus at Howard, like the Black Student Union didn't exist because the majority of us were Black, right? So you had like the African Student Association, you had the Caribbean Student Association, you had chess club. Like it was things that were more based on your hobby or your interest, not based on how you identified from a racial standpoint. So I really appreciated that experience. It was really nice to have teachers that looked like you, that were in companies or roles that you were aspired to be in. So I think that if you are thinking about going to an HBCU, I would certainly recommend at least going on campus to get a visit, to get that real feeling of, basically how your spirit comes alive once you step on campus.
Strong. Is that on me, Miss Valerie?
That is on you.
Thank you. Froze there a little bit. Okay, this is for Brendan first and then Jonte. We're talking about academic supports and services, and thinking about how sometimes students need a little bit of extra support in those arenas, especially coming from high school transitioning into college. What do you offer by way of support when someone just needs help? I needed help sometimes into the wee hours of the night, and it was really hard for me to find it, but I could sometimes find it on campus throughout the day, and particularly in my department. I may work in education, but at Tuskegee, I was an engineering major. Aerospace engineering is my degree. And our engineering department itself had plenty of opportunities and support. But for your colleges, first Brendan, then Jonte, like what do you offer? And then secondarily, do you have a career center on campus, and what does it do?
Um, Thank you for the question. So very similar to your experience, it sounds like at Hampton University, when you choose a major, they'll get you set up with an advisor. And a lot of the times you'll come meet with that advisor. They'll show you basically the steps on. Okay, so I was a strategic communications major. So as a strategic communications major, I had to come declare my major. They showed me the classes I would need. And if I wanted to ever switch over to broadcast journalism, I could, but I needed to take these classes. So they set me up well in that sense. And I also was a football player at Hampton University, so I also had support athletically. We had a lot of tutors for the football team who helped with our schedule, getting our books, all of that. As far as a career center, we did have a career center who did a terrific job. Our career center was much more than just having a career fair where jobs came and you got to meet people. They really were good at connecting you with someone as a mentorship, whatever it is, as a sponsorship, hopefully it turns into. It wasn't just, hey, we have Ford Auto coming today, you get to meet them. It was more so like you get an email and write them an email and they'll write you back, kind of building a relationship, which I think HBCU center around anyway is just those authentic relationships that carry you further than you would ever understand. So to the mentorship piece, I think at Hampton University that was preached, and it was stood on. Like we really believed in mentorship and building relationships. So you have all the student support you need, and it's all about the connections and that align with your plan. And they'll be sure to look into your plan, find out what you think you want to do. And if it ever gets off track that you don't want to do that, they'll help you find the next thing. Hampton was very good with that. So that's what I would say.
Cool. Thank you. Jonte.
So at Delaware State University, we offer a lot of academic support centers, staff. I could personally say all my mentors, they were all in the Office of Student Success. They were all the ones that helped coach me. Not only was I a tutor, but I ran track and field, so I was an athlete. To piggyback off of Mr. Cole, student athletes, you have your own advisors. So they made sure that they prioritize and made sure that the athletes were taking the right classes so that they wouldn't fall behind and that they were in regulation, which was also super helpful because at the end of the day, they want to make sure students are successful and that they're graduating and then that they're taking the right credits. So that was something that was super helpful. Our Career Service Center, it's on the 3rd floor. So it's in our student center, the MLK. Not only do they help with, helping you with the jobs and internships, but we have like a closet. So we get you prepped and ready for interviews, which I really like. They also did a lot of internships, and then they also did a lot of community outreach and then taking students to conferences. We have a lot of conferences for our students throughout the week. Like tomorrow, we're having a freshman white coat. So for students that are pre-health and pre-nursing majors, they came up with a conference to make those students feel special. So every week, every major highlights and does different conferences to highlight our freshmen. And then the academic advisors, they do stuff too, like mobile advising, where they stay after hours to help you to make sure that you're in the right classes, making sure that, if you want to change your major, they're there. So our academic advising team is always working day in and out, always helping. And then for myself, this is kind of personal. First year seminar was something that helps me as an incoming freshman, because that's a class to help freshmen transition, because we do know it's hard. I actually taught it this year for the first time this fall, and one of my students was from Seattle, Washington. So that was really good to teach that class and to have her in my class because she struggled with being far away from home. But I was able to help her. So that was something that's good that helped me. And I was able to take what I learned when I took the class to help her, because that transition can be hard and freshmen do struggle, especially students coming out west. And we are growing in numbers out west, but we do get it. So we try to have those classes, those seminars, and those workshops for students to be able to sign up and come to, so that they can get all the necessary things to be equipped to be a good student and be successful at Delaware State, excuse me.
Hey, Jonte, how large is Delaware State?
We now have about 6,300 students.
That's pretty big.
Wow.
It's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, we're growing. We just acquired Wesley, so we now have 2 campuses. So we have our downtown and then our main campus.
That's
and we're
cool.
building some more stuff. So it's definitely growing for sure.
Most of us are pretty small. How large is Howard now?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button. So Howard's a little over 10,000 students.
Howard's banging. Wow. I know Tuskegee's 35. Brendan, you just said 35?
We're about almost, if you add in the grad school, we're probably about 47, 4,600.
Yeah. What about you, with the house?
Well, just Morehouse is about 2,300, but we're part of the Atlanta University Center. So Spelman has about 2,200. Clark has a little, I think, over 4,000, including their graduate school. So
Wow.
the entire AUC, including those schools, and also the Morehouse School of Medicine and Denominational Theological Center, we're knocking on about 9,000 for the entire Atlanta University Center.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Cool. I looked up a statistic a moment ago. 107 HBCUs in total, who serve just over 228,000 students, nationally and internationally, which I think is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It is.
Okay. Oh, and I had to turn my camera off because I could not be the only dude who wasn't rocking something that said Tuskegee. So anyway, all right. I didn't want to steal everybody's shine by wearing it like to the party.
Wow.
So, on to you, Valerie.
All right, thanks. So I know when I was entering in college years and years and years ago, my parents, my mom, my dad, they didn't prepare for me to go to school. They just wanted me to graduate from high school. So I was happy that I was able to get financial aid. And there was also the ability to get into the University of Washington at the time because of, what is it? Well, they don't have it now here in Washington State. I don't know where they have it at now. Affirmative action. So that kind of assisted me getting into the University of Washington because I hadn't really thought about college before, and I had never gotten an opportunity to go to. Now what they have are the Black College tours, so it would have been a great opportunity for me to be able to do that. They had them, but I was afraid to leave home to go to the South because I had heard so many terrible stories about the South. But I love the South. So Alvin and Bianca, if you could please just describe the options of financial aid at your schools and any advice that you might have around financial aid.
Well, at Morehouse, we have a variety of different scholarship opportunities and financial aid opportunities. I know there's been a little disarray this year with the FAFSA kind of opening up late. But if you are admitted to Morehouse, we have our Morehouse College Academic Award, which is our merit scholarship program. So initially, you can be awarded up to $15,000 per year versus per our merit scholarship program. Also, for our admitted students, we have what's called the Morehouse Scholarship Portal. So once you are admitted, you will gain access to the scholarship portal, which includes a variety of scholarships that we have, whether they're institutional scholarships, scholarships from alums, scholarships from Fortune 500 companies, and some of those scholarships include the Morgan Stanley Student Success Scholarship, which is pretty much a full ride to Morehouse. The Oprah Winfrey Scholarship Program, and Oprah Winfrey is actually our largest individual donor at Morehouse. So that is one of our top scholarship programs. So we have a variety of different scholarships that you can apply for through the Morehouse Scholarship Portal. My advice would be, in usual years, it would be get that FAFSA done as early as possible. I still advise that, but again, there are issues with the FAFSA this year that hopefully will not happen in the future. But I would say apply to Morehouse as early as possible. Apply via early action, or we also have early decision, which is a binding decision, and Morehouse is your #1 choice. We do provide scholarships for all application rounds, whether it be early decision, early action, or regular decision. But it's always, in my opinion, best to apply as early as possible, because we don't have scholarships for everybody. So those students who are competitive in the application process will have a better chance if they apply early to have more scholarship availability through our scholarship portal.
Thank you. And Miss Bianca?
Yeah, I think just to add to Alvin's point, I would highlight the scholarships as well. I think that would be a space that I would encourage students to constantly look around. There's going to be local state scholarships, local churches might have scholarships, and scholarships are things that you can apply on like an annual basis. It does take the work of writing an essay. It might be you just copying and pasting an essay, but do it. It really pays off versus having tons of student loans in the long run. The next thing on campus, also, you do have the option to enroll in the work study program. So work study is basically, you might have the chance to work in the athletics office. You might be washing all the uniforms for the student athletes. So a good way just to get some income as well. And then the last thing I would recommend would be just internships. I did have quite a few friends who chose to work regular jobs, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's quite a few companies who pay interns. So it's a good way for you to get money in your pocket and then also basically secure the bag once you're getting ready to graduate. I'll speak for DraftKings in particular. We have a 95% hire rate for our intern program. So it's pretty much a guarantee that when you complete your internship with us, we're giving you an offer. If you are an engineering student, engineering students get paid the most, usually across all intern majors. So at DK, we're paying our engineering students about $40 per hour. So definitely some things to think about. For most internships, you usually can't start until your sophomore year, but that doesn't mean that you can't start having some discovery conversations and connecting with some alums that are from your local communities to start putting your name in front of some folks to get you involved. So those would be my 3 things, would be scholarships, work study, and internships.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, Shamari.
Okay, well, this question is not very complex, and I have a much more complex one, but I'm going to ask this question first. What suggestions do you give students who are trying to pick colleges? And maybe I'm gonna add a bit of a twist for Jonte and then Brendan. Thinking about that question, I want you to sort of look inward at, I want these young people to come to my college. And particularly because both of you are so deeply on the like far depths of the east side of the country, and our students are on the far depths of the west side of the country. What suggestions do you give students in trying to pick colleges, but also how do you get students to try to pick your college? Jonte first.
All right. So I'm laughing because our numbers in the West Coast are increasing, but every time I come out there to recruit, nobody ever knows where Delaware is. I have to
I
pull
know.
a map out. I have to pull my phone out. I'm like, it's literally the home of Joe Biden. The president of the United States lives in Delaware. Like, we are the first state. There's so much history behind it, but some of them don't know. Some of them geographically will get it right. They'll be like, oh, you're near New York, you're near Baltimore, DC. So some of them will know and some of them won't know. And I get that just because they are on the West Coast. But what I do try to tell students is to think outside the box and know that there's a bigger world. Like, I know some students, they've lived on the West Coast their whole life. So like, that's all they know. Like, I was out for a Black College Expo in UCAN in California, and I was talking to lots of students. And one student told me he never left California. Like, that's all he knows. He has family there and he was scared. And I was like, I get it, but we get students that come and they're doing just fine. So I try to talk to them about the success stories, of the students that left the West Coast and how they're doing so well and how they have left and came to Delaware State University and they're very successful and how they took that leap and how well they're doing. Like one of my sorors, she was recruited through UCAN and she's from Sacramento. She is now getting her master's in clinical psychology at Delaware State University. Phenomenal young woman, very smart, intelligent. She left Sacramento and she ended up getting a full ride at Delaware State University. Was scared to do it, but she wanted to go to an HBCU. She wanted that exposure. She wanted something new. So I usually highlight the stories of people that leave the West Coast and show them their story and what they're doing and how they can still get that, and that there's people there that can mentor them and push them through. Because it is hard to sell, especially when we're on the East Coast and we are in such a small state and we're not, one of the top or, in a big city. So it is kind of hard. But once I tell students what we offer, talk about the success stories of other students and, the students that we're getting and all the amazing things our university has to offer, it tends to turn heads, and our numbers are growing. So that's exciting to know.
Okay, I'm going to ask you if you want to add any plugs for what suggestions you have to give to students when they're thinking about picking colleges, not just yours.
Okay. So I would definitely say do your research, make sure you're visiting campuses. Don't just look at TikToks and online. You really need to go to the campus and get the exposure, see what the vibe is. If there's an overnight stay, see if you can get that. If you're trying to, be recruited to be on the athletic team, reach out to the coach, see if you can go to a practice, really get the experience. Like, I know for us, some schools do like special days where they let students come for a day where they could be a college student. Take advantage of those opportunities. Make sure you're going to open houses. Yeah, you could talk about how, oh, my mom went there, but that's your mom's experience. You need to actually go to that school and see what experience you think you could get, or if that school aligns with you. Just because your mom and dad went there, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow in their steps, because that might not be the right school for you or where you belong. So I'm really big on doing the research, visiting, and making sure that the institution, wherever you choose to, fits you and it feels like home. It has to feel like home and it has to feel good.
Yeah. Thank you. Valerie, we're going to skip the last question and give it to them as homework in the breakouts. But for Brendan, I want you to answer these same questions, but I'm going to ask them to you in the reverse of how Jonte answered them. First, I want you to address whether or not you have suggestions that you would give students who are seeking to pick colleges. And then second, I would like for you to address how on earth you get kids that come from the West Coast all the way to Hampton University by the water in Virginia.
Yes. So the first piece, I'll kind of piggyback off Jonte. I always tell students this. I'm currently the dean of students at a private school, a K through 12 private school in Charlotte, North Carolina, named Charlotte Country Day. And I tell a lot of our students, I understand you love your mom, you love your parents, you love your family and friends. Everybody loves you and you love them. But when you go to college, you are going to college. Nobody else is going to college but you. You will walk that campus every day for those 4 to 8 years, however long, whatever program you're in. And all they'll do is call and say, wish you good luck. Now you take into consideration what they have to say because they know you best and these are your loved ones. But be sure that you do what you want to do. My mother wanted me to be in political science so bad that she wanted me to be a lawyer. Her son was supposed to be a lawyer. I go to school before I even signed up for a major. She had already signed me up for political science. And I'm like, what? And then so, I eventually graduated with it as a minor. But just remember that it's you doing this work. It's you meeting with these teachers. As Jonte said, go to the campus, go walk around. Okay. Look at people, shake people's hands, talk to people, ask questions. Don't go visit a school and it's Hampton versus Howard and you go to the game and the atmosphere is great. It's not always like that, just be careful, be diligent, choose the school that fits you the best. Now, yes, your parents or guardians or whoever may know you the best out of everybody else, but they don't know you better than you know you. So just be very careful and diligent in that process. And then to students from the West Coast coming all the way to the East Coast. Actually, at Hampton University, we had a very big West Coast population. A lot of students from California come to Hampton University. At one point, there were more California students at Hampton than Virginia students at Hampton, and Hampton is in Virginia. So we have a huge West Coast population. One of the things about Hampton I don't know if other HBCUs are doing this, but we have a curfew policy your first year. So it builds this tight knit group and everybody feels protected and you go through this process with the other ninth graders or first year students. And so that it just breeds. And I think a lot of people send their kids back due to the process they went through that they loved, that helped them get prepared for the process of going to a job or whatever it was. And it's little things like those curfews your first year and lights out and things like that. And you kind of go through the process step after step after step, because a lot of our West Coast students, their parents went to Hampton, which is why they're at Hampton and they all send their kids to Hampton now. So I would say we have a huge West Coast population. And if anybody is interested in going to the East Coast, you should please go onto the website and look at Hampton University. I don't know if it's the water or what it is, but a lot of students from the West Coast love to come over to Hampton University.
Y'all warm people with water over there in Virginia.
I think that's what it is.
Okay, so I know we're preparing for breakout rooms. There's only one question we did not get a chance to ask, and that question is, if students would like to learn more about your college, how can they explore more? And I'm sure this will be addressed in the breakout rooms, and certainly possibly at the end of the recording, we can put up a slide which each individual's name and school and contact information. And so thank you all for at least attending this portion. We look forward to you having an experience outside of this where you get to engage more deeply with the panelists one-on-one. So appreciate you for the time. We are signing out for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.